Lethal.
Just when you think you have it bad, you need to look around and see what other people are experiencing and dealing with around you. I'm going to tell you about a story about a friend of mine. Her name's Becky. She went through the most trauma of anyone that I've ever seen by the age of 16. When she was young, she was abused mentally and physically by her father. He would beat her and tell her horrible things, and this not only caused problems between them, but also with her mom and her father. Her mom and dad fought pretty much every day of the week. He was an alcoholic, and that made things even worse. He would go straight to the bar from work and stay there till really late hours of the night and then come home. He would wake everybody up and then beat Becky and her mother until he settled down, and then he would just go to bed. Every day was a regular thing, and it got worse as time passed. When Becky was 12 years old, her mother and father decided to split up. Her father didn't want the separation, but her mother could not deal with the abuse anymore. He threatened her with her car, her phone, pretty much everything that she owned. After she got packed up, her and Becky went to leave, and her father had cut all the wires in her vehicle so they couldn't leave. So they had to go back inside and stay for the night. Her mother and father had a discussion that night, and they decided that they would go on a separation and that they would split everything in half. The next morning, Becky's mother woke up and she found that everything in her house was split in half. Her kitchen table, her couch, her chairs, everything. Once that happened, they knew they had to get out of there. Months passed, and her mother and father got back together. Her father apologized and promised that the abuse would stop and the drinking would stop. And it did for a little bit, but it stayed for about 4 years like that. After that, things started to get back to the way they were. Becky couldn't take it anymore, so she decided to talk to the counselors at school. By law, if you talk to the counselors and they believe that you live in an unsafe environment, they have to report you to child services. After school that day, Becky got called to the office, and she was taken to a foster home. She lived there for about a year, and her dad had to prove to the state that he could provide a healthy and stable environment for his daughter. She moved back in with her parents after that year, and once again, things were good at first. Once Becky started driving, her father would threaten to take her car away, and she just didn't want to live like that anymore. So she moved out at the age of 18. Since then, everything has been a lot better, but she still has run-ins with her father. Like I said, you never know how good your life is until you hear about a story like this. A little girl with great ambition in life was crushed because of her father. I've always heard my parents tell me not to take life for granted, and you never know how great your life is until someone comes in and that has been abused or just has a horrible life in general. I'm guilty of complaining or always wondering if the grass is greener on the other side, but after Becky came into my life, I just try to remember that I'm blessed and I love to live in a home with security and